Hello gamers and welcome back to the games. 5,000 subscribers, huge milestone, and we got to kick it off right. Go right to our base and do a Star Citizen video for those of us who really, the reason why we got to where we're at is because of the citizens within the community who are gamers who got us here. So it's only appropriate that we do a Star Citizen video, and we're talking about the retail sector. Look where I'm at. I'm in an area that's not really well thought of, not really well planned out. And that's how I kind of feel that, even through the 2.4 update, that SIG's kind of not really putting a lot of, thought process into like the market, the economy. And it goes all the way down to the grassroots level of people who want to own shops. And that's why I think this video is really important. We're talking about merchantmen here. We're talking about people actually selling their goods and their wares to other people now. There's a whole supply chain when it comes down to where basically humans are going to get their supplies. Are they going to buy them through NPC manufacturing plants? Yeah, pretty much so to start out. I'm hoping that more human interaction can be involved with manufacturing as it is planned right now. It doesn't seem to me that humans are going to be able to manufacture that much, if anything at all, at this stage in the game. But at least there's going to be a level of being able to buy something, whether it be from NPC-related manufacturing plants or hopefully human manufacturing plants. And this could be traders who want to make a quick buck selling to merchants. This could be, businesses selling to businesses, and taking items such as guns and clothing, as we see in the new 2.4 patch. Any type of item really are aware, and basically leasing an area to get your own shop. And there's a lot of fears that I have in this. I think pretty much you've got something that's going to either be a huge flop or an amazing success. And I think it's all in the way that SIG really designs this area. This area, I'd personally rather buy through, and I might be a minority, I might not be, but I'd personally like to support human people playing the game that want to get involved in the marketplace. I want to foster an actual real economy, just like I want to foster real survival, and not, here's the card. We're getting tons of views on this. You guys check that out. I'm not going to talk a lot about that, but I want a realness factor to this where actually it's going to give us what it promised us, delivering us a very real experience. The death mechanics are fascinating within the game. They need to work a little bit on the survival aspects too, especially if you're an explorer, and especially to the things related directly to food and the items in the economy, making sure that they have intrinsic value. We've gone over that, and now we're talking about shops, and now we're talking about this area here in itself. You got to think about how people buy, and two things really right off the bat kind of concern me. One, is this going to be enough space for people coming in here? I feel like there, maybe each planet's going to have, 1 to 2, sometimes more, different areas where you can land. And those points are going to have all different shops. But is that going to accommodate the room, the space needed for the amount of people that do want to own their own shop? There's going to be a lot, depending on if SIG wants to bring that element into the game. Again, I get scared about this because I start to feel that SIG doesn't think about people's way to play the game. I know it's Chris's game, but I want it to be the most successful game ever. So I want it to be the realest game ever, and I want it to draw the most amount of people's interests into this game. Not just the pew-pew, not just the PvE grinding. I like both, don't get me wrong, but we got to think about people that like to trade, people that like to get involved with businesses. We got to think about people that like to craft. We've done a lot of videos in the past dealing with these types of things that I think if you have not watched, you should check out. Right now I get a little concerned, number one, because of the amount of physical space needed for shops. I think if you use SL as a reference and talk about Second Life, and I'm sorry, but I got to go there because I played it a long time ago in 2006, and if you're not familiar with it, it's a really crappy, just a crap game, and anybody can do anything they want. That's not what I'm saying. I want Star Citizen to be. If you go there in Second Life, and I haven't been there in years, it's just whatever people. It's terrible. It's terrible. There's no uniformity at all. But the one thing that I do know is the only uniform thing in Second Life were the shops. The shops all had this particular look, but they're all crammed together, and everybody had their own sim, basically, or their own land, would have a section for shops, most of them. And then they would lease out those portions of land for those shops, and nobody would really make a lot of money at it because people didn't take the time to pour it there. People didn't take the time to walk to the different shops or look in the different shops because that's not how people are used to shopping. If you really think about the way people think about shopping in today's kind of world, we've evolved into like a point and click society where we're shopping from Amazon, eBay, all these sites. And one of the interesting evolutions of Second Life shopping was that they ended up actually making something called the Second Life Marketplace, where people would actually type in a website and buy it there, and then it would come directly into your inventory when you logged into the game. They didn't even need to go to the storefront. So that's the second problem I see, is how relevant really is. Are people going to take the time to land on a planet at a particular storefront that isn't NPC owned? Because there will be NPC shops. And I think at NPC Shops, it's going to be easier for a lot of people to say, oh, you know what? I'm always going to see this. I'm always going to see that. Go to the NPC store. But I think it'd be rather interesting to see how people are going to be different from one another if SIG doesn't think of Star Citizen as something more unique for those types of people who want to get into crafting, manufacturing, even into the research, the science type of area. What makes your product different or unique from somebody else? Well, if you're talking about a marketplace that only involves A, B, and C and doesn't give you like a C plus or like something different, like a variant that's different, like Star Wars Galaxies did, then you're talking about all the same items. You're not talking about anything different from anybody else's. So what's going to make somebody come to your store? And I think if we do operate on the mentality that only manufacturers are going to be NPC manufacturers, then you got to say there's only going to be a certain amount of items in the game. None of them are going to have any different attributes from one another. They're all going to be the same items. Then the only thing that's going to make the difference is the price. The price is really important. The price is right. No, that's a game show with Bob Barker. Sorry about that. But what is going to be the difference, and I think that needs to be discussed. That's one thing that's really important to this whole discussion about the retail sector. What is going to be different from your shop versus somebody else's shop versus an NPC shop? How are we going to make this more of a real market economy versus a fake one? And some people don't even care. Some people actually get very mad about this. They'll say, Al, we don't care. We don't care. We just want to go ahead, go to the shop, buy it. I'll go to the NPC all the time, and that's how I'm going to get it, Al. I don't care about what you want. And you know what? You just X'd out a lot of people that are interested in economies. You just X'd out a lot of people that are interested in crafting. You just X'd out a lot of people. And you know what ends up happening when you piss those people off? You get a game that's very dull, very watered down. It doesn't have any excitement. It's one thing. It's one thing only. It's people just PvP and PvE, and that's it. And there's no other aspect to it. And you know what? It's rather dull and boring for anybody else, and you lose that whole section of people that are interested in that, and you lose a lot of backing into the game. So before people actually get mad about that who are into PvP and PvE, and you know what? I'm into both. But I also like the market. I also like the economy. You got to think about that. Because you're actually losing steam. You're losing people who are going to back and support this game if you don't actually make this something that's very unique and different. And the amount of information out here on this is very difficult to find. I couldn't find anything. I really couldn't find much on this particular topic. If anybody has any information, like I said, always put it down in the comments below. That's why I like to make these videos, because they're very different. You don't see these topics ever being discussed. And the information on this particular topic is just minimum, bare minimum. And that makes me worried. Even though 2.4 has come out, flushed out a lot of the mechanics when it comes to, the shops, and I love it. I absolutely love what's going on here. But I do want some higher level kind of thinking being put forward by SIG, saying, you know what, we got to think about humans. We got to think about the real people that play this game. Not just people that are I mean, there's a section of... here's how I'm going to divide it. You're 9 years old up to to 22 or 21, and all you care about is grinding and shooting things and killing things, and that's great. Some people are actually going to make it a little bit more evolved and start their own little bounty hunter business, or maybe become a pirate and become a little bit more involved, and that's great, because now they're becoming more industrious, and it adds a deeper level of human interaction with the game. Great, love it, good, okay. And then you got you get into the early 20s to the mid 30s, and then you start, people want a little bit more from the games. People want a little bit more than just the guns and the shooting and everything. And that's, what I'm talking about right now. A lot of people in these age groups are not just playing games anymore for just the regular, pop and gun, shoot them in the head, blow up the ship. Like some people actually want to play the game because it's more involved. The nuances in actually developing networks, relationships with traders, merchants, other businesses, developing connections, business connections, becoming successful, taking those credits in large amounts and opening up new endeavors, new, we talked about this in the economy video. You can check this out. It's still very relevant. The 90-10 split, where initially I was kind of worried about, the fact that I thought 90-10 split was referring to NPC market makers versus 10% human market makers. And by market makers, I mean like anybody who's involved with the economy. Like 90% of NPCs are going to make your things, sell your things, trade your things. We already discussed this in the economy video, where the NPCs are basically doing their own thing and pre-programmed to run their own routes and make this world, this universe, very alive, so that it shows it. But I think that's a very programmed thing, and I wouldn't consider that alive, because I see it as just like functioning robots that SIG put in there to make me feel or camouflage that there's really a real world. I want the real world to be us, opening new businesses, manufacturing things, selling things. I want to support industry. I want to support human-run industry. And I get concerned when I see not a lot of space for the humans and more for the NPCs. I want more space opened up for more shops. I want there to be some type of thing within the mobiGlas where you can actually punch up your favorite shop and order it. You order the item directly from there, so you don't have to be planet side to do it. If you have to physically walk in there, as I said earlier, I think you're going to lose a lot of that traffic. I use the Second Life analogy, as a comparison, like a comparative model to how they failed, and the SL marketplace, eventually the whole thing just kind of tumbled because it didn't take into account the fact that people want to make it really easy to shop. But I do still want there to be some type of like personal interaction between human and merchant, and there will be, depending upon how much space is provided for shop owners. And that's another thing that scares me. Imagine that there are going to be a percentage of them that want to open up. I know quite a few people interested in this portion of Star Citizen. Imagine the space being rather large, trying to accommodate everybody, and you see all these shops. You going to want to walk to them? I mean, are you really going to walk to every single shop if you're at the ass end of the map? You're not going to get the traffic. You're just not. So they need to price it accordingly. They need, that's another thing. And imagine that they don't make this opened up. Imagine that they only make this very limited space. You get into kind of like a monopoly situation. And then they start to say to themselves, they start to say to themselves, well, maybe we should, maybe we should not, count on this too much, because then it might ruin the flavor of the game. Imagine somebody just comes in who's one person and buys all the areas up. I think that should definitely be policed. I think monopoly should be policed in the game because it doesn't make it fun for people who actually want to start a new business. And also, you have to even question the fact that if you want to open your own shop up, how many other shops are there like you? And then again, we go back to that original debate. What makes your shop different? What's the flavor of the items? And what's the solution? Personally, I think that the space should be limited, but I think it should be more encompassing than what it is now. I think there should be an area that's relatively easy to navigate where people can walk into shops. I don't think they should be stacked up one on each other. I don't think it should be a wasteland of shops, because I don't want that within the game. I do want there to be human shops, though, and I don't want them to all be owned by one person, or one person with 5 million different accounts who looks like different people. I want this to be policed, and then we get into that issue. Does it become too hard? And is this initially why SIG throws out this figure of a 90-10 economy, or 90-10 NPC human split? And I still am not quite sure how they're referring to the 90-10 human split, even after this. It's a whole debate going on within Star Citizen. But I would like everybody to have their own fair share who wants to own a shop. I would like the people in the game to have the ability to sell their wares to people. And I would like there to be more direct access to buy to those shops through the Mobi-Glass by buying directly and just saying, boop, okay, I'll take 3 of those, 4 of those for my favorite merchant place. And I want to support human marketplace. Human, real marketplace. I think that's very important. I think this is a discussion well worth having. And I like the fact that people get very passionate about this. There's people who really get angry about this. Get angry. Go ahead. If you don't like what I'm saying, I love it. I don't care if you dislike the video. In fact, I favor that you show me that you dislike the video because I know you're passionate about something. And I actually favor it more if you push the like button, trust me, and share this. So a really interesting topic, a really interesting debate to be had by everybody here. And I'm glad that I can bring these types of videos to people, really spark their minds, really actually help SIG develop the game better. I'm sure some of this conversation was had at SIG. I'm hoping there was. God, I'm hoping there was. If there isn't, what the hell's wrong with you guys? You guys got to start thinking like this. Because if you don't, again, put this flavor into the game, you are basically Xing out a large population of people who are interested in other aspects to gaming than the pew. So we'll see what they do as time develops. I think that they are thinking about it personally because I'm seeing the new things happening in 2.4. I'm liking the direction that it's headed to. But you know, we got to talk a lot about what's gonna happen. The amount of space, how easy is it to buy from people? Will you be able to buy from actual people? How much are these spaces going to cost? You know, how much is the shop going to be leased out for? Especially if it's limited space, you would imagine that have to be quite a bit of creds. And should it be monthly? Yes. I think that they should be deducted monthly directly from your wallet. Boom, gone creds every single month. And if people can't afford it, it just automatically boots them out. Sorry, you didn't pay. It might give you a couple days leniency. But, you know, when it comes to business, you got to be on point. You got to make sure you're paying your bills. And if you can't afford your rent, boom, kicked you out. Take all your items and put them somewhere. You know, put them in a backup inventory area or, you know, however you're going to do that. I don't think the inventory items should be nixed off at all because that's just not fair to the person who's invested that much money. Maybe they're sick. Something happened in real life. They can't get back to the game. Whew, big topic today, and I'm glad that I can talk to you about this, and I'm glad I can give you guys something different. So don't forget, if you guys like the Star Citizen content, you guys want more Star Citizen content, you know, just tell me down below how much you appreciate it. But if you really appreciate it, check out this card here. Click it. That's our Patreon page. We just redesigned it. We currently have 13 Patreons, which we really appreciate. Thank you for those who are patrons. But we could definitely use more support here on the games, and the more support we get, the more Star Citizen content you will get. That's how economies work. So thank you for watching the whole way through, especially for those of you that are still watching this, and I appreciate everything you bring here to the channel, and congratulations to everybody here on the games for hitting 5,000 subscribers. Always new, always different, always in your face. That's how I bring it, real 110% of the time. All right, everybody. Peace. Enjoy your day, your night, wherever you're at. And don't forget to come back.